What's up, everybody? I am back with a TV show review that just, wrapped up. It's Wednesday, season 2. And, yeah, I gotta say that it's fine. It's like, still some enjoyment out of it, but it's just like the first season was such a kick-ass season. But here it seems like maybe because the length of time it took between seasons, because it was like what, like a 2-3 year gap between the seasons before they uh, continued, and it should have probably kept a good momentum going, because clearly you see like the child actors definitely grew up a bit, like, because it's been 2-3 years, so obviously they had some significant growth spurts, especially like that bug kid that definitely like had like a good not only a growth spurt, but he was kind of a little pudgy, but now he's a little lanky and skinny, so a lot has changed. uh Wednesday, of course, got Jenna Ortega reprising her role as Wednesday, and you know same actors like Raul Guzman, not Raul Guzman, crap, uh, uh, we got Gwendolyn Christie as Larissa Weems, Ricky Lindholm as Dr. Valerie uh, Kinbot. Oh no, that's in season 1. Sorry. You know, yeah, Hunter Duhan as Tyler Galpin. Uh, um, Emma Myers as Enid Sinclair. Joy Sunday as Bianca Barclay. Uh, Georgie Farmer as Ajax Petropoulos, which I just now realized his name is Ajax. Luis Guzman as Gomez Adams. Uh, uh, we got a little bit of Christina Ricci as Marilyn Thornhill. Musa Mustafa as Eugene Oettinger, the bug controller kid. We got Steve Buscemi as Barry Dort, the new professor of Nevermore Academy, who's a pyrokinetic. We got Isaac Ordonance as Pugsley, who definitely got more time to shine here, but I don't know, because my biggest complaint with what they did with Pugsley in the previous one, it made him kind of like a wuss in a way, and Pugsley not as like, by comparison to Wednesday, not as threatening but dangerous in his own right. But it's kind of like, I don't know, not Pugsley, because if Pugsley from the movies or even like the comic strips or even the cartoons, he is like a freaking psycho, but he treating like, uh I don't know, just like just some kid, uh it's just like, it's not Pugsley, and he give him like electric powers like Uncle Fester, which I guess I probably would try giving like the lineage, so because apparently Gomez had that ability at one point, but not anymore. Uh, we got Owen Painter as Isaac Knight. Billy Piper as Asandra Carpri. who's a werewolf but also the music teacher at Nevermore. Uh, we got this new woman, Luyana Unuti Lewis Niuwo, as Richie Santiago, the uh, who was deputy sheriff to Galpin in the last season, but now she's the new sheriff of Jericho. And seeing her, I can't help but thinking that Tim Burton's just like trying to fix in his purview a reputation, or at least the, I don't even call it jokes, but just like teases about the fact that he in the past never really, casted black people in his stuff. But I was like, that's his freaking prerogative. But then it's like he went overboard with like, or maybe not him, just probably certain writers, making a lot of females like the predominant ones in these roles here and there. Because you can't help, it's not heavy-handed, thank goodness. You can tell there was certain very, like, I don't even want to use the word wokeness because I don't think it qualifies, but there were certain things that they tried to, or maybe I'm just too, like, self-aware about the kind of crap Hollywood's been spewing that's overdone with the wokeness, that I can't see something that might have been regular back in the day, but now it's kind of like with the Furiosa film. That was just like people was like, worried that was going to be another girl boss film, but it wasn't. But it's just like people's knee-jerk reaction because that's what we've been inundated with for such a long time. This could be perfectly normal, by yesterday, or not yesterday, but like yesteryear standards. But now it's kind of like, is this like just a normal little thing, or is this trying to overcompensate to get away from certain backlashes? We got like Gomez making some comment in one of the episodes, going to some kind of fair, because like some kind of Day of the Dead little festival, and we got this little woman dressed in a pilgrim outfit, this white woman, the running joke like, oh, white people don't know Spanish, and he used the words cultural appropriating kind of things. Like, why would Gomez even utter the words a cultural appropriating? He wouldn't give a rat's ass. But of course, he got to school her like in speaking like Spanish. I guess that's the joke. But it's just like, it would have been a good turning on his head, because he would have, if it was me writing this, I would have not only sold the, like really let you think what, because it's mark of a good joke, let you think one way, think it's going to go this way, like, oh, same old, but then turn it on his head. Like, I would have leaned into the fact like, oh, she is trying to pretend to the customers that she's just like a little dopey little white lady who can't speak fluent Spanish, and just playing like an act like she's a dopey little thing, just just playing up a role kind of thing. She's doing a job at this little area, but then having Gomez speaking very fluent Spanish to her, thinking like he's gonna one up her, and then firing back with also equal good as fast, like, look, and then speak in Spanish. As a matter of fact, let me do this right here. It'd be kind of fun. English to Spanish. Oh, matter of fact, I should do it on my phone because I think probably best. Okay, here we go.
Esto es solo un trabajo, señor. No deje que mi condición de blanco le haga asumir que no sé español.
And shut like at least give, and then Gomez and Pugsley give each other like a look like, never mind. That would have been like, that would have been a lot more funnier. Hold on, getting like a important message here. So, sorry, I just had to bring that up. That would have been like better. Uh, um, we got Noah B. Taylor as Bruno Houston. Just like a Nevermore. So, no, sorry. Um, we got the new star of this season, Evie Templeton, as Agnes DeMille, or DeMille, I'm sorry, who's a Wednesday super fan, probably like a fan insert of people who's loved this show and just became like a super fan of Wednesday. She's kind of like this representation of all us fans of the show and the character, and not like a self insert of a writer or a creator, but just like, no, this is how you probably do a better insert, a self insert. Is it's like not the individual self, but a collective of the fans of the show and the character, and not just a particular group or a particular person. But she's like a person who can turn invisible, but she had those creepy, crazy eyes, but she is fun. We got, of course, Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia Addams. And, of course, the Adamses have more prominent role in the season because, they was kind of, because of the budget. They were really, like, kind of sidelined in the previous season. Now they have more prominent. They're more prominent here. So Wednesday over the summer has been trying to utilize her premonition powers to go after like serial killers and stuff like that, and just overdoing it a bit. And because of that, she taxed it out. And of course, the spirit guide that would have helped her properly use this ability had sacrificed herself because it's part of the bloodline. And of course, it had to be a female bloodline and not just generic bloodline. It did the same thing, kind of crap, with that Echo show. It's like, oh, all the familiar bloodlines, but it's always the females. But it's just like, so there's no males that has some kind of skill. With Wednesday, there's no males with like power of premonition that used. That kind of stuff. Like I said, they kind of try to interweave that kind of stuff into this stuff. It was. I wouldn't be upset the fact that yeah, sure, she has some matriarchs in her line that has some premonition powers, but but like in last season, there's like a male. How this year, sorry, it's a female, but how this year is like is a different male line that also had these powers and became a guide. But we get Wings back, and it turns out she's like a distant cousin removed or something. But somehow, and that part was hacky. It really trying to force their way to get this character back into the show. I don't mind. I like the character, but shoving in like, you know, in the writing, oh, she's like a distant relative of the bloodline of Morticia, and not the Adams bloodline with Gomez. But that was so hacky. It would, of course, they didn't know how the second season was going to go yet, but that's why it was so imperative that they do this kind of close, you know, within maybe like a year and a half apart, so that way, you know, it seemed more fluid. Because if they would have done it that way and they like knew going out, of course they didn't know they was going to get greenlit for a second season. But aside from that, if they knew, they would have, you know, like they should have like written in from the first season that, you know, Morticia remarked about how the principal is like a cousin of hers that's running the school, or at least like she said, a distant cousin or something like that. That then it wouldn't be so a jarring thing, or didn't seem like out of the blue that she just happened to be like, you know, the next guide. Anyway, we go some stuff with that cult thing where that siren girl gets involved, because Dort turns out he was the ultimate mastermind of this this big cult thing, where we think that what we thought was the cult leader turns out to just be the face and another puppet of Dort's, who was a struggling actor back in the day, which is kind of funny given like the actor who is playing him. What's his crap? It was on Starship Troopers. Hold on. Easier. Casper Van Dien. Yeah. Casper Van Dien, who plays this, what you assume was the cult leader, but turns out to be a just like a puppet, who Dort eventually killed because, you know, he didn't want to go down as a you know, to jail. And Dort used this young girl's siren powers to convince everybody to go along with whatever he wants to do, because he wants, because at the end of the day, he's a greedy scam artist. We get the introduction of Grandmama, who we learn, you know, Morticia's side of the family is a frump. That's their you know, maiden name. But I like the look of this version of Grandmama, but I gotta say, I miss that kooky, because that's the whole point of the Adams, is they're kooky. But Grandmama in the movie, I like that version of Grandmama a little bit more because she was a character. And I say that in a way because it's like, if you remember the freaking movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of a weird kind of, you know, witch or something, you know. She's just like, you know, kind of like unhinged but funny. And here it's like still kooky in her own way, but more of like a standoffish, cold, semi-cold, aristocrat type of woman that downplays Morticia in a way. So there's like there's one thing with these different mothers and daughters having beef with one another because they, like grandmama didn't really support Morticia, doesn't care for Gomez like that, and so identifies with Wednesday because she sees herself in more so in Wednesday than Morticia. But then, of course, we got Morticia having, a very a very messy relationship with Wednesday because, Morticia, she's, got her own little macabre way of doing things. She embraces more so the her that romantic loving side that you see her express with her husband, which she doesn't do all that much here. Then we see that in the first season, but we don't see all that much here because he's pretty much putting all that energy in, all that time with the daughter. Cause man, part of the fun of Morticia and Gomez, because they're so in love with each other, is like almost obsessed with each other. They always, almost every time they're on scene together, they can't help themselves but be all over each other, and to a gross degree. Remember in what was it it wasn't a sequel, it's gotta be in the first one, where they're in that auction and all you hear, off screen is them just clearly, about to boink in the middle of a crowd. It's just I don't know, it's like I want that with, Morticia and Gomez. And I understand the thing that why Morticia and Wednesday have such beef, because Morticia seems a little bit more controlling and trying to love on her daughter because the way her mother treated her seems more standoffish and kind of cold. And she kind of overdoing it to try to overcompensate for what she lacked growing up. She's trying to make sure that her children is getting that love, but she seems hyper focused on Wednesday. And I kind of like where we see with Pugsley, where he says it, halfway through the season, that his parents seems a little bit more hyper focused on Wednesday, that he kind of seems neglected in a way. And that is probably good, like a story arc right there. But that seems kind of not ended on with a happy bow at all, or at least wasn't acknowledged. Morticia and Gomez, I think Gomez at least acknowledged the fact that, let's go out to find your little zombie. We'll get to that in a second. But we can spend some father and son time. But I would like for a moment where they, apologize to Pugsley, saying we should have had more, spend an equal amount more time with you without getting so caught up with Wednesday, because the women of the family had these premonitions and stuff, and Morticia, in her way of trying to protect her daughter, is keeping her from embracing her gifts or trying to overly misuse her gifts. She ended up burning books that she could be using to really train and fortify her stuff, which was a gross act by in my opinion. But one of Wednesday's premonitions, before we kind of kaput, is seeing her best friend Enid dying. So keeping her distance from Enid, not letting her in, it goes on this own little crusade, trying to figure out, okay, who is it? She assumes it has something to do with Tyler because he is a Hyde. Pugsley ends up, finding this zombie underneath this tree that turns out to be this old scientist back in the day that used to be best friends with Gomez and Morticia, who's pretty like a Dr. Frankenstein kind of guy, who turns out to be the uncle of Tyler, whose sister was locked up in the asylum. There's a whole thing. We get a guest cameo with Lady Gaga, who turns out to be some kind of a ghostly witch or something like that. I just had to mention that. That seems definitely out of nowhere. Well, at least I didn't see that coming. This is kind of like a funny episode where it was like a body swap episode between Enid and Wednesday, which that's the episode where Enid figures out what's going on. So they spend a day in each other's shoes. We learn that Enid is an alpha werewolf, a rare breed, who more often than not will have trouble reverting back to her human form. That's why she was such a late bloomer, and that's why she changed into a wolf form, even though it's not a full moon. It shows that she's going to be like the most powerful among them. So, because of course, like the female is going to be like the most powerful. It's like I said, this is kind of like a very, there's certain things that is getting close to the line of being heavy-handed with certain things. But I like Enid. She's, the actress is funny. Got a charm to her. And when they did the body swap thing, kudos to the actresses, because my goodness, they really, because I'm pretty sure the chemistry is so strong between these two, and they probably spend so much time with each other. Of course, they can easily probably play each other as each other very well. Emma Myers, even though she got the whole hair and all that stuff, drops that whole that bubbly personality to a very stone cold persona of Wednesday, even down to like the voice isn't like completely perfect, but it's close enough where you can just about buy it. And you see Jenna Ortega just dropping it, that whole facade, that cold facade for that bubbly personality, and she can just kind of cut loose a bit, even though she's wearing her little Wednesday little garb. She's just dancing and like saying hi to everybody, and kind of like everybody is like, whoa, like what's going on Wednesday. That episode was pretty fun. But once Enid finds out about the whole situation, they eventually switch back. But now the premonition shows that when she eventually get like one jolt of a premonition from that ghostly Lady Gaga, we see that Enid's not in danger anymore, but Adams will die. We leave it mysterious. So, the zombie who Pugsley calls Slurp, turns out to be the old friend of Morticia and Gomez. His mission was to rid his sister of the Hyde personality, because she was getting sick, because hides need a master. If not, they either go berserk or they get sick and die. And of course, they interjected a line about female hides sometimes don't need a master because they're a lot more stronger than the males. And it's like, oh my god, like, why would you need to insert that? You could have just left it. Hides need a master in general. Without one, they either go nuts or die. You could have left it at that, which perfectly interweaves into the fact that she keeps coughing up blood because she's sick. She, the thing is debilitating after a period. And this kind of thing is kind of like a danger, or at least a horrible spoiler to Tyler for the future, for him. And he, early on after the breakout of the asylum, he had like a couple of hallucinations of his dead father, but that just stopped. It's like, why did you introduce that without it being like a running thing? Well, it could have been something like Dexter. I've been watching Dexter Resurrection. This is amazing, by the way. And you could have had something like that where he keeps seeing his father, and his father's, constantly talking with him, like, randomly. Kind of like a flip effect of what's going on with Wednesday, who keeps seeing Williams as a spirit talking amongst her. Of course, Morticia, because of her abilities, she knows what's up with that. But that could have been like a nice little, because Wednesday and Tyler had this kind of connection, this love-hate kind of situation that's not fully expressed. But this is a nice little, like two sides of the same coin thing. While both are trying to guide them in different ways, but both people are trying to reject these so-called visions of these people that they had ties to, at least both in a way had blood ties to. But Wednesday eventually get used to it, while Tyler probably constantly rejects now that he's got a connection with his mom. But like I said, they kind of dropped that. Kind of wish they could have kept that going. After Bianca, who's been trying to hide her mom among the school, is it Bianca? What's her name? The siren girl? Yeah, Bianca. Hallucinating everybody. And I didn't think it was going to work on. Matter of fact, I personally believe it shouldn't have worked on any of the Adamses at all, because they are so kooky and just so macabre. Their willpower, or the embracing of this strange and unorthodox stuff, they, in my opinion, should have been immune to that stuff, because I don't think this is ever fully explained as to why. No, it was explained why Dorp was immune to Bianca's powers, because of some kind of necklace that was enchanted or something like that. But I would have loved it with of course you wouldn't get her tricking Grandmama into, because that's what Dorp was after, this mass fortune of Grandmama, who controls this like empire of running cemeteries and stuff like that, and as a mortician type of mogul or whatever. So she got a crazy, stupid amount of money. But thanks to Wednesday and a couple of the students, they managed to stop Dorp by one of the Gorgon guys, who had a thing for Enid, turned him into stone, and his body got crushed and all this stuff. He pretty much got rid of. While Wednesday trying to save Pugsley, who got kidnapped by Isaac and his family. Turns out we figure out where the origin story, at least this particular origin story of Thing's hand, it was the hand that was lopped off by Morticia all those years ago to save Gomez from being electrocuted to death. And it just is animated and has its own willpower. It was the hand of Isaac. Which I didn't even notice that he was missing a hand. After the whole zombie thing, it kind of took your focus off the missing hand situation. So that was like a crazy surprise. They end up burying her alive, but thanks to Invisible Girl and Enid, who wolfed out and using, which I'm shocked that she still has some level of consciousness to be self-aware enough not to maul the Invisible Girl and leaving Wednesday to be buried, because that realistically should have been the thing, no pun intended. Especially when you're dealing with some kind of alpha, it's supposed to be like more of a wild animal, more so than a regular wolf. So by the end of this, before we get to that, because Enid ends up running off while Morticia, Gomez, and Wednesday go find Pugsley, which is in the old laboratory in the school. Oh, by the way, the headless, there's a head in a jar played by Christopher Lloyd, who's like some kind of science teacher or something that used to be the mentor of Isaac. He ends up killing him because every time he eats brains, he rejuvenates himself. So it's not really like a normal zombie. It's more so like a ghoul, if anything else. Because zombies typically, by definition, pass on the whatever disease that they have to cause more zombies. So this part falls in the line of a ghoul. If I'm being technical about it. So fully regenerated. The mom, who you think, because there was like a line about like, keep your promise of what you said was to get all this stuff together, because you think like, because this is how I mentioned about a proper way of tricking the audience to think one way, how we normally see in most movies or TV shows. You think like he promised to kill her so she won't become a Hyde again, but no, she resigned herself to her fate and just wants her brother to cure her son of his fate instead by sacrificing Pugsley, who had these electrical powers, to use as a battery to fully charge the machine. And I think Isaac has some kind of telekinetic abilities or something, because I thought it was more so magnetism, because that probably would make more sense given he's like a Dr. Frankenstein type of guy. But I don't know, this is kind of like but they end up saving Pugsley, and the Wednesday goes off to save or find Enid, because he makes a promise that if she wolfs out, go find her and help her. But that's where it ends. Oh, and Tyler fights his mother. She dies falling off the building to avoid dragging her son to his death. Um, so he meets up with that music teacher who's has her own machinations. We never see her wolf out. So clearly we're gonna get a season 3 more than likely. But the show ends with Wednesday going off with Uncle Fester to track down Enid. It's a fine season, not as good as the first one, but there's certain things that definitely need to be kind of course corrected here and there. But I also think that Netflix need to make sure that it doesn't take so long between this season and the next one, because if they wait another 3 years, these people will be in their late 20s. So I don't go that far, but they already getting approaching their they're in their early 20s. So it's like you don't want them to be in their late 20s. So it should be like a year gap between these 2 seasons. Anyway, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think of Wednesday season 2. It is, like I said, it's fine. I love the atmosphere. The actors are still pretty good. And Catherine Zeta-Jones is like, she aging like fine wine. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how hot she is. And in terms of Jenna Ortega, I'm not sure what's going on with her. I don't know if she went through some kind of Botox in her, not on the show, but just in her day-to-day life. I'm not sure what's going on. It was like, a week or so ago, there was like a thing with her, no eyebrows or this like sunken cheeks or something like that. It's just weird what she's doing right now. I just hope she didn't get caught up in the Hollywood machine with Botox and stuff. You're a young, hot starlet. You don't need all that crap. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow with some more content. Take care. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of Wednesday season 2. And I'll see y'all soon. Peace.